The Helix Dominion had ruled the galaxy for over 3,000 years. No one challenged them. They were so powerful that most species thought of them as a force of nature, not just a government. Admiral Tak stood on the bridge of his command ship. His scaled fingers shook slightly as he stared at the holographic display. The image showed something impossible. A massive vessel had entered Dominion space. "Confirm this reading," he ordered, his voice tight with tension. Officer June checked her instruments again. She was young for her position, but had earned it through exceptional skill and dedication. "Confirmed, Admiral. The vessel is 30 kilometers in length. Our sensors detect energy signatures unlike anything in our database." "Impossible," Tak whispered. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of extreme stress among his species. No species has such technology. The unknown ship had appeared 6 hours earlier at the very edge of Dominion space. It moved at speeds that defied the laws of physics as the Dominion understood them. Any Dominion vessel attempting such velocity would tear itself apart. Yet this ship moved smoothly, its massive hull seemingly unaffected by the stresses of such travel. Most concerning of all, the vessel made no attempt to hide. It broadcast its position openly, as if unconcerned about Dominion defense forces. The bridge fell silent as officers worked at their stations. The tension was thick enough to cut with a blade. Admiral Tak had served for 80 years and never faced a situation like this. "They're broadcasting," Jun announced suddenly. "Text only, in all known galactic languages." "Put it on the main screen," Tak ordered. The message appeared, simple and direct. "Greetings from Earth. The HSS Prometheus comes in peace. We request formal diplomatic recognition." Tak's skin paled to a lighter shade of green. "Humans?" "Yes, Admiral," his intelligence officer confirmed. "The message originates from Earth and the Spiral Arm." Tak knew about humans. The Dominion had discovered their world centuries ago during routine expansion surveys. Their assessment had classified humans as primitive mammals, still fighting among themselves for resources on their single world. The report estimated they were at least 500 years from achieving even basic interstellar flight capability. Yet here they were, with a ship that dwarfed the largest Dominion Dreadnought. "How is this possible?" Tak asked no one in particular. "Our last survey showed them barely reaching their own moon. Perhaps they received outside help," suggested his second-in-command. "Impossible," Tak replied. "No species would dare violate Dominion isolation protocols." The Helix Dominion had strict rules about contact with developing species. Any civilization that hadn't achieved faster-than-light travel was quarantined. This protected the Dominion's technological advantages and prevented primitive species from advancing too quickly. "Sir," Jun said, "the vessel is maintaining position at the edge of our space. They appear to be waiting for our response." Tak considered his options. The ship clearly possessed technology beyond Dominion understanding. If they attacked and failed, it could prove disastrous. Yet allowing an unknown power to enter Dominion space unchallenged was equally unthinkable. "Send a standard warning message," he ordered. "Inform them they have entered sovereign Dominion space without authorization. Request immediate identification and purpose." "Transmitting now, sir." Minutes passed. The bridge crew worked in tense silence. "They've responded," Jum announced. The new message appeared. "We understand we have entered Dominion space. We are the HS Prometheus from Earth. Our purpose is diplomatic contact between Earth and the Helix Dominion. We request formal recognition and exchange of ambassadors." Tak frowned. The humans were acting as if they were equals to the Dominion. No emerging species had ever been so bold. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "our deep scans show unusual activity within the vessel. Energy readings are fluctuating in patterns we cannot identify." "Weapons?" Tak asked sharply. "Unknown, sir, but the energy levels are concerning." Tak made his decision. "Summon the High Council immediately. This matter requires their attention." He turned to his communications officer. Tell the humans we are consulting with our leadership and will respond shortly. Then to his fleet commander, move our defense fleet into position. Full battle readiness, but no aggressive actions. I want 3 perimeter rings around that vessel. Yes, Admiral. As the orders were carried out, Tak studied the massive human ship on the display. How had they advanced so quickly? What else were they hiding? And most importantly, what did they really want? The Dominion had encountered many species over its 3,000 years of rule. Some had been easily conquered. Others had been stubborn but ultimately fell. A few had been admitted as junior partners in the Dominion after proving their usefulness. But never had they encountered a species that seemed to have leapfrogged centuries of technological development. Never had they faced a ship of such size with unknown capabilities. Tak felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. Sir, Jones said quietly, approaching his command station. I've analyzed their communication patterns. There's something strange. Explain. They're using our formal diplomatic protocols perfectly. Protocols that aren't public knowledge. Somehow, they know exactly how our government functions. Tak's fear deepened. You mean? Yes, Admiral. They've been watching us, studying us, for who knows how long. As Dominion warships moved into position around the human vessel, Tak realized this was no accidental contact. The humans had planned this moment carefully. The High Council will convene in 1 hour, his communications officer reported. Tak nodded grimly. Good, and increase our scan frequency. I want to know if that ship so much as adjusts its position. The massive human ship hung in space, silent and waiting. Inside, Tak knew they were watching, planning, perhaps even laughing at the Dominion's confusion. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's greatest power faced an unknown threat, and Admiral Tak couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. High Chancellor Minna stood in the grand communication chamber of the Dominion Central Command. The room was designed to impress. With tall ceilings and walls covered in the symbols of worlds the Dominion had conquered over thousands of years. She smoothed the front of her formal robes and adjusted her ceremonial collar, making sure the gemstones that showed her rank caught the light properly. Is the connection secure? She asked the technician. Yes, Chancellor. We are ready to begin. Mina took a deep breath. In 3,000 years, the Dominion had never needed to negotiate with a new species as equals. They conquered, they ruled, they sometimes allowed limited autonomy, but they never negotiated. Open the channel. The massive screen flickered to life. The face that appeared belonged to a human female with dark skin and close-cropped hair. Mina was struck by how similar humans looked to several other mammalian species in the galaxy, yet with subtle differences. I am Captain Son of the HS Prometheus, the human said, her voice clear and confident. Thank you for accepting our request for dialogue. Mina straightened her back, making herself taller. She needed to establish dominance immediately. Your presence is a violation of Dominion law, she replied coldly. Unregistered vessels are subject to immediate impoundment. To Mina's surprise, Captain Son smiled. Not a nervous smile, but one that suggested she had expected this response. We're well aware of your laws, Chancellor. We've been studying them for quite some time. But as we are not subjects of your Dominion, we're here to establish diplomatic relations as equals. Equals. The word felt foreign in Mina's mouth. In her 50 years in Dominion politics, no one had dared suggest equality with the ruling species. Perhaps you misunderstand your position. The Dominion controls 70% of this galaxy's habitable systems. For now, Sun replied calmly. Those 2 words sent a chill down Mina's spine. There was no threat in Sun's tone, yet the implication was clear. We've been observing the Dominion for decades, Sun continued. Your treatment of developing species concerns us. Mina's personal communication device buzzed against her wrist. Without breaking eye contact with the human on screen, she glanced down. Admiral Tak had sent an urgent message. Analysis showed the human vessel contained technology far beyond Dominion science. Their weapons systems couldn't even register what kind of defenses the ship possessed. Minna felt a bead of sweat form on her brow. She had entered this conversation expecting to deliver threats from a position of power. Now she wasn't so sure. Perhaps, Minna said carefully, we should discuss terms of cooperation. Captain Sun nodded. I was hoping you'd say that. Behind Minna, the chamber doors slid open. Her advisors entered, bringing data tablets and looking concerned. One rushed to her side and whispered urgently, Chancellor, we've detected energy signatures from the human vessel. They're scanning our entire defense network. Minna kept her face calm, though her heart beat faster. Captain Sun, she said, it seems your vessel is conducting unauthorized scans of our defense systems. This is not a good start to our cooperation. Sun's expression didn't change. My apologies, Chancellor. Our systems automatically map nearby structures. I'll have that stopped immediately. She turned slightly, presumably giving an order to someone off-screen. How much do humans actually know about the Dominion? Minna asked, trying to assess the situation. More than you might expect. Sun replied. We discovered your outpost in the Eridan system 80 years ago. Since then, we've been monitoring your communications, studying your language, history, and political structure. Minna felt her blood run cold. The Eridan outpost was supposed to be one of their most secret installations, where they tested new weapons. That's impossible, she said. Our security is excellent by the standards of this galaxy, Sun interrupted politely. But humans have developed along different lines. We prioritized stealth and observation technologies. Another advisor approached Minna, showing her a tablet with alarming information. The human ship had somehow accessed their central database and downloaded historical records. You speak of cooperation, Minna said, struggling to keep her voice steady. Yet you invade our systems without permission. We seek understanding, not advantage, Sun said. Your species has ruled this galaxy for millennia. We wish to learn about your methods. Minna noticed something in Sun's eyes, not hostility, but something like judgment. What exactly do you want, Captain? Recognition of Earth as a sovereign power, access to trade routes, exchange of knowledge, selective knowledge, Sun added with a slight smile, and reform of your policies toward developing worlds. You asked too much, Minna said. The Dominion does not change its policies based on the demands of newcomers. Not demands, Sun corrected gently. Suggestions, from one advanced civilization to another. As they spoke, Minna received more urgent messages. The human ship had begun broadcasting on frequencies used by subjugated species. They were offering assistance, alliance. The translations were unclear. Captain Sun, Minna said, trying a new approach. Perhaps I could invite you to our capital world. We could discuss these matters in person. That would be lovely, Sun replied. But I must remain with my ship for now. Perhaps you could come aboard the Prometheus instead. The suggestion that Minna should go to them, rather than them coming to her, was yet another break with all protocol. But Minna was starting to understand that old protocols might no longer apply. I will consider your invitation, she said carefully. Excellent. And Chancellor, you should know that the Prometheus is just the first contact vessel. Earth has many interests in this galaxy. We look forward to a productive relationship with the Dominion, one that benefits all species under your protection. The screen went dark. Minna turned to her advisors, all of whom looked as shocked as she felt. Get me everything we have on humans, she ordered, and prepare my ship. 3 days had passed since the first contact with the human vessel. Admiral Tak stood on his command ship, watching the tactical display with grim satisfaction. 200 Dominion warships formed a perfect sphere around the human ship Prometheus. It was the largest fleet gathering in 50 years. The High Council's decision had been nearly unanimous. The humans represented too great a threat to Dominion authority. Their ship must be seized, their technology claimed, and their homeworld brought under control. Only Chancellor Minna had urged caution, but she had been overruled. Her meeting aboard the Prometheus the previous day had left her visibly shaken, though she refused to explain why. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Officer June said from her station. Her voice was steady, but Tak noticed her hands trembling slightly. "Excellent," Tak replied. "Open a channel to the human vessel." The main screen activated, showing Captain Sun sitting calmly in her command chair. She looked completely untroubled by the fleet surrounding her ship. "This is your final warning," Admiral Tak transmitted. "Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded." There was no hesitation in Sun's response. "We decline. We've attempted peaceful dialogue. Since that has failed, a demonstration seems necessary." Tak's lip curled in a sneer. "They still don't understand their situation," he said to his bridge crew. "Begin the approach. Disable their engines first, then." His words died in his throat as every control panel on the bridge suddenly went dark. The lights flickered briefly, then stabilized. "Report," Tak shouted. "What's happening?" Officer June's fingers flew over her station, but nothing responded. "Sir, all weapon systems are offline. Shields are down. Engines are not responding." "Impossible," Tak whispered. He pressed his own command console. Nothing. June looked up, her face pale. "It's not just us, sir. The entire fleet. Every ship has lost weapons and propulsion systems. Only life support and basic functions remain online." "How?" Tak demanded. "How could they do this?" June's voice shook as she replied. "They've somehow accessed our command protocols. They've locked us out of our own ships." The main screen changed. Captain Sun was still there, but now she stood before a larger display showing the entirety of Dominion space. "A simple demonstration," she said. "Your fleet's control systems were compromised the moment you entered scanning range of the Prometheus. We could have done this at any time." Tak felt cold fear spreading through his body. "This is an act of war," he managed to say. "No," Sun replied. "This is an act of prevention. Your council had already decided to attack us. We merely ensured you couldn't." Behind Tak, his tactical officer reported, "Sir, we're detecting a powerful broadcast from the human vessel. They're transmitting on all frequencies to every world in Dominion space." The bridge speakers activated automatically. Captain Sun's voice rang out clear and strong. "Attention all species. The Helix Dominion's monopoly on advanced technology has ended. Earth extends an invitation to all worlds seeking independence. We bring no conquest, only choice." Tak felt as if the deck were tilting beneath his feet. In one swift move, the humans had not only neutralized the Dominion's military might, but had also directly addressed all the subjugated worlds. "Sir," June called out, "we're getting reports from across Dominion space. The Carrack system, the Velian Alliance, the Morai Collective, they're all declaring independence from Dominion rule." "How many?" Tak asked, dreading the answer. 7 major systems so far," June said, "and more communications are coming in." The screen changed again, showing Captain Sun back in her command chair. "Admiral Tak," she said, "your ships will regain full functionality in 12 hours. That should give your government time to reconsider its position. We suggest you use this time wisely." The screen went dark. Tak stood frozen, staring at the blank display. 200 ships, the pride of the Dominion fleet, all rendered useless without firing a single shot. "Sir," June said quietly, "what are your orders?" Tak turned slowly, looking at his bridge crew. Their faces showed the same fear and confusion he felt. "Contact the High Council," he said. Tell them we need new orders." Throughout the next few hours, reports flooded in from across Dominion space. System after system declared independence or demanded new terms for their continued allegiance. The carefully built power structure that had stood for 3,000 years was crumbling in a single day. In the Grand Council chamber on the Dominion homeworld, chaos reigned. Representatives shouted accusations and demands. Military leaders called for desperate measures. Economic advisors warned of collapse. Chancellor Mena sat silently amidst the turmoil, remembering her brief visit to the Prometheus the day before. Captain Sun had shown her something, a simple data tablet containing information about Earth, about human history, about how they had developed in isolation, free from the control and interference that the Dominion imposed on other species, and most importantly, why they had chosen this moment to reveal themselves. They were always out there, she whispered to herself as the council raged around her, watching, learning, waiting for the right moment. On the Prometheus, Captain Sun watched the unfolding events with her senior staff. Phase 1 complete, her executive officer reported. 7 key systems have declared independence. Dominion communication networks are in disarray. Sun nodded, and the secondary transmissions, successfully received by all targeted species. The information packets about Dominion power structures and weaknesses have been downloaded billions of times already. Sun looked out at the stars through the ship's massive viewport. 3,000 years of dominance, she said softly, ended without firing a single shot. What do you think they'll do next? Her officer asked. They'll try to adapt, Sun replied. They'll offer concessions to prevent further defections. They'll attempt to isolate us. And when that fails, she turned to face her crew. They'll realize that the galaxy has changed forever. The Dominion capital world of Scylar had never known such panic. For 3,000 years, it had been the center of galactic power. Its towers of gleaming metal and crystal had stood as symbols of unquestioned authority. Now, those same towers were filled with fear. In the Grand Council chamber, emergency alarms flashed red along the walls. The circular room, designed to show the Dominion's power with its high ceilings and ornate decorations, now felt like a trap to those inside. 24 council members sat around the table, their faces showing various stages of shock and anger. High Chancellor Minna entered the chamber last. Dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept since the human ship had neutralized their fleet. She took her seat at the head of the table and looked at the chaos before her. Market reports scrolled across screens on the wall. Red numbers flashed everywhere. The Dominion currency was losing value by the minute. Trade ships refused to leave ports, fearing the collapse of established routes. Some captains had already pledged loyalty to newly independent systems. Bring order to this meeting, Minna commanded, her voice cutting through the noise. The room gradually quieted. Intelligence Director Juan stood, his thin frame rigid with anger. The humans have been planning this for years, he reported. My agents have uncovered evidence of their activities dating back decades. They've established hidden contacts with dozens of species. They've been collecting data on our military capabilities and political weaknesses. Impossible, said one council member. We would have detected such widespread infiltration. Juan laughed bitterly. Would we? Our monitoring systems were designed to watch for known threats. The humans used methods we never anticipated. They sent tiny probes disguised as space debris. They used communication methods that our sensors couldn't detect. Some of their agents may have been living among us, altered to look like other species. Murmurs of alarm spread through the room. High Chancellor Minna raised her hand for silence. What are our options? She asked, her voice steady despite the crisis. Admiral Tak, who had been recalled from his crippled flagship, stood next. His uniform, usually immaculate, was wrinkled from hours of crisis management. War is impossible, he said bluntly. Their technological advantage is insurmountable. The Prometheus disabled 200 warships without firing a shot. Our best scientists still don't understand how they did it. Could we rebuild our forces with new safeguards? Asked another council member. Tak shook his head. It would take years, and there's no guarantee they haven't already compromised our new designs before we even create them. Council member Jin, the oldest person in the room with scales faded to pale green with age, spoke next. Negotiate, he suggested. Before more systems declare independence, We've already lost 12 major worlds in the past day. We must stabilize what remains. Intelligence Director Juan turned on him furiously. Negotiate from a position of weakness. He spat. They'll demand total surrender. The Dominion will cease to exist as we know it. The Dominion has already ceased to exist as we knew it, Jin replied calmly. The question is whether we will have any role in what comes next. The argument spread around the table. Some counselors supported war at any cost. Others suggested hiding their remaining technology and rebuilding in secret. A few even proposed attempting to assassinate the human leaders, though no one knew how to reach Earth or what defenses it might have. Minna watched the debate, her mind racing. She alone had been aboard the Prometheus, had seen firsthand what humans were capable of. They had shown her their history, thousands of years of wars among themselves that had driven technological progress at a frightening pace. While the Dominion had grown comfortable in its power, humans had evolved through constant competition. The debate was interrupted by an aide rushing into the chamber. Protocol would normally forbid such an entrance, but normal rules had been abandoned in the crisis. Urgent news, the aide called out, his voice high with panic. The humans have revealed that the Prometheus is just one of 12 similar vessels, now entering different sectors of Dominion space. The room fell silent. 12 ships, each one capable of neutralizing entire fleets. Admiral Tak sank back into his chair, his face ashen. We are finished, he whispered. Not yet, Minna said, rising from her seat. For 3 days she had watched her government fracture, had seen the panic spread. Now, at last, she saw the path forward. Our empire was built on technological superiority, she said. For millennia, we believed this made us destined to rule. But technology can be matched or exceeded. The humans have taught us this lesson. She walked slowly around the table, looking each council member in the eyes. We cannot fight. We cannot hide. We cannot continue as we were, but perhaps we can still be part of what comes next. What are you suggesting? Juan demanded. A new beginning, Minna replied. A coalition rather than an empire. Equal partnership with advanced species rather than dominance over them. Surrender, you mean? Juan said bitterly. Adaptation, Minna corrected. The humans have not destroyed our cities or killed our people. They've simply changed the rules of power. We must change with them or be left behind. She returned to her place at the head of the table and looked out at the faces of the most powerful beings in what had been the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. Contact Captain Sun, Minna finally said. Tell her we're ready to discuss a new galactic order. As the council members filed out to carry out her orders, Minna remained alone in the great chamber. 3,000 years of history weighed on her shoulders. She would be remembered as the last ruler of the old Dominion. But perhaps, if she played this right, also as the first leader of something new. Outside the council chambers, the news spread quickly through the capital. Some citizens panicked, rushing to leave the planet. Others gathered in public spaces, demanding answers. But many simply waited, watching the skies, wondering what this new force from Earth would bring to a galaxy that had known only one rule for as long as anyone could remember. 1 month after the humans revealed themselves, a historic meeting took place. The great hall aboard the Prometheus had been specially built for this event. It was simple but beautiful, with walls that seemed to glow with soft light. The room was circular, with a large round table in the center. Representatives from 36 different species filled the hall. Some had scales, some had fur, others had blue or green skin. Many had once been ruled by the Helix Dominion. Others had been allies or trading partners. Each wore clothing from their own world, creating a colorful mix of styles. Captain Sun stood at the center of the room. She wore a simple blue uniform with a small Earth symbol on the shoulder. She looked calm and confident as she faced the gathered representatives. Welcome to all, she said, her voice carrying easily through the hall. Thank you for joining us on this historic day. The room was quiet. Everyone felt the weight of the moment. For too long, The development of this galaxy has been controlled by a single power. Sun continued. Today marks the beginning of shared governance. The Galactic Cooperative will ensure that all spacefaring species have a voice in our shared future. On a table before her lay a document, not digital, but printed on actual paper. This ancient method of recording agreements had been chosen to honor traditions from across the galaxy. Each representative will now sign the Charter of Cooperation, Sun announced. By doing so, you agree to peaceful resolution of conflicts, free trade between worlds, and mutual defense against any threat to member worlds. One by one, the representatives came forward. Some moved on legs, others floated or slithered. Each signed in their own way, some with hands, others with tentacles or specialized appendages. Some used ink, others pressed special marks or seals. High Chancellor Minna was among the last to approach the table. Once the ruler of 70% of the galaxy's habitable systems, she now represented only the Helix homeworlds. The Dominion had collapsed rapidly after the humans' arrival, with most worlds choosing independence or joining the new cooperative. Mina signed the charter with visible reluctance. Her hand trembled slightly, but she completed her signature with dignity. As the ceremony continued, Mina stood close to Captain Sun. How long have humans really been capable of interstellar travel? She asked quietly, so others couldn't hear. Sun looked at her thoughtfully, then decided to answer honestly. 200 years, she admitted. We discovered the Dominion early in our expansion. We saw how you treated developing worlds. We decided to remain hidden, build our strength, and prepare. Mina's eyes widened. 200 years. You've been watching us for 2 centuries. Sun nodded. We learned from your mistakes. We studied how your empire operated. We watched how you suppressed technological development on conquered worlds to maintain your advantage. You could have conquered us, Mina observed, her voice flat. Your ships could have destroyed our fleets. You could be ruling the galaxy now. Sun shook her head. That was never our intention. Humans have a long history of empires rising and falling. We've learned that domination always fails eventually. Cooperation is the only sustainable path forward. And if some refuse to cooperate? Mina asked. Sun's expression hardened slightly. Then they will find themselves isolated in a galaxy that has moved beyond them. The signing ceremony completed, Captain Sun returned to the center of the hall. At her signal, the massive view screens around the room activated, showing different sectors of the galaxy. In each sector, a human vessel like the Prometheus held position near major trade routes or strategic points. These ships will serve as neutral meeting grounds and defense platforms, Sun explained to the assembly. Not as conquerors, but as guardians of the new balance of power. Each member of the cooperative will send representatives to serve aboard these vessels, ensuring no single species controls them. The reaction in the room was mixed. Some representatives looked relieved, others suspicious. The Helix delegates, including Mina, appeared uncomfortable but resigned. A representative from the Velian Alliance, one of the first systems to declare independence from the Dominion, stepped forward. What guarantees do we have that Earth won't simply become the new Dominion? He asked. You have the power to control us all. A fair question, Sun replied. The Charter includes strict limits on Earth's role. We will never control more than 1/7 of the cooperative's voting power. Our ships will have mixed crews within 5 years, and we will share certain technologies with all members, ensuring no single world holds too great an advantage. The Velian seemed satisfied and stepped back. As the ceremony concluded, many representatives gathered in smaller groups, forming new alliances and trade agreements. Species that had been enemies under Dominion rule found common ground. Others that had never been allowed direct contact began cultural exchanges. Mina stood alone at the edge of the hall, watching it all with a complex expression. Captain Sun approached her again. You still have an important role to play, she said. The Helix have 3,000 years of experience in galactic governance. That knowledge is valuable, even if the methods must change. Why did you wait? Minna asked suddenly. If you had the power all along, why wait until now to reveal yourselves? Sun smiled. We needed to be sure we were ready. Not just technologically, but culturally. Our own history is filled with mistakes. We had to learn from them before we could help others avoid the same paths. Minna nodded slowly. Then, to Sun's surprise, she extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. I will help build this new order, Minna said. Not for you, but for my people. We must adapt or fade away. As the two leaders shook hands, the screens around the room showed the galaxy from above. A spiral of stars containing billions of lives, all now facing an uncertain but hopeful future. A new era had begun.